Jacquie Capstick, and this is my podcast, The Natural Healing Reel. Today, I am very excited to introduce my guest. His name is Don Russell. He is a psychotherapist. He has dealt with the incredible depths of traumas and PTSDs, not PTSD, sounds like, you know what I mean. Anyways, he is a classmate I got to meet on my last London Reel course. It was called the Business Accelerator. So I'm back at the podcast, and here we go. I'm going to let Don introduce and share himself to us. Don?
Fantastic. Thanks so much for the opportunity, Jacquie. It's great to do this here today, but also it's great to reconnect after the Business Accelerator program with Brian Rose through London Reel, which I think you and I will both agree was, let's call it a refining process, shall we? Isn't that a great term? I mean, fantastic process. I couldn't recommend it highly enough to anybody that is thinking about launching a program or launching a business. But for me, man, it wasn't just the nuts and bolts about launching a business. It was also just pushing our own limits of what we believe is possible for ourselves. That was one of the big takeaways for me is I got pushed beyond my comfort zone, and I discovered, hey, you know what? I didn't die. I didn't die. It's like, wow, I can do things that I didn't think were possible, which we can get into the specifics of that in a little bit, but just want to plug the Business Accelerator.
Do you know what? Mm-hmm. I am so with you 100% on that. But what do you want to clarify? Because I want to do a podcast with a group of us so we can share how incredibly powerful that is to walk through fear that quickly and know that you're still standing and going, oh, actually, that was pretty exhilarating. And I did that. And I'm here still. Incredible experience, eh?
A really great experience because it was really condensed, 8 weeks to get a business from I don't even know what business I want to launch to the point of wow, this thing is happening, and like I have customers knocking on the door, or at least quite possibly have customers knocking on the door. So right from no idea to it's a happening thing in the space of 8 weeks. One of the really amazing things, just to sort of linger on this topic for a little bit more, one of the amazing things is, I don't know, maybe 50% peer pressure. I don't want to look bad, in front of my classmates, and 50%, wow, I'm on a team and I don't want to let my team down, so I'm going to push myself because my team is counting on me. Sort of like almost like a a Marine basic training kind of thing. Like we're all in this together, so we either sink or swim together as a team. So I better find another gear so I don't let my team down. So part of that going on too. So it wasn't just peer pressure that drove us.
Yeah, he really created something special there. I think he's quite ingenious myself, but you have to experience that to explain that, I think, right? Just all of a sudden, okay, get your phone out, take a video and post it everywhere. It's like, pardon me? No.
Yes, and don't rehearse the video that you're going to broadcast.
Don't edit it.
Don't write it down. Don't edit it. Don't even think about it too much. Press record and upload before you can even judge it yourself.
And then keep moving.
and then keep moving.
Don, have you done any videos like that? Have you done any vlogging, or where are you at with this whole social media platform?
Yeah, I've done some, I wouldn't call it vlogging before. I have posted prior to the Business Accelerator program, I had posted a handful of videos on YouTube
Well,
which
good
we
for
can
you.
talk
What are
about.
those about?
Yeah, some of them are what I call sort of psychoeducation, basically like a 20-minute little bit of instruction on what trauma is, what trauma recovery is. I've done some on sort of on relationships generally,
You
and
know,
some.
I just have to tell you that thank you, because I have been working through this for the last bunch of years, and that knowledge gives us our power. Without that knowledge, like you're just saying, like, and everybody gives it differently. And like I love Joe Dispenza, and now there's yeah, I never can remember Huberman. Anyways, just there's so many great like you out there, but everybody shares it differently, and you just get something different from everybody.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, on a topic like trauma, which is so complex and so, close to home for so many of us, we have to hear it 5 different ways from 5 different people to get it to sort of sink in and to start to make sense. So, in my therapy work, sometimes I'll send, a client that I'm working with a video of mine. Here's some information about trauma, or a treatment approach for trauma, but I'll also send my client, a video from Dr. Joe Dispenza, or maybe Wayne Dyer.
Do you love those guys? Those are my heroes.
Yeah,
because put anybody up on a pedestal, but honestly,
yeah,
their knowledge, they're doing this, and you doing this I think saves lives.
Yeah, because all of those guys, right? They're looking at the same problem from a different perspective, and it's all helpful. And I've had the experience, and I'm sure you've had the experience, where we hear something, for the 7th time, and then when we hear it for the 7th time, we go, oh, that makes so much sense.
And then we lose it. Okay, so I've just been experiencing this, and then it was like, okay, I had it, and then it's like, right, because we're just conscious for a short period of time, right? But then you're like, oh darn, right?
Right.
And then so it's just keep going back at it. Like, okay, I'm asking for myself. You just keep reprogramming that mind so that the body isn't taking over. Because I watch myself, I'm in some crazy program, and it's like, I'm like, hello, stop. I tell my kids now, okay, when I do that, very politely say, Mom, you just wanted me to mention not to do that because I don't want you guys. I'm doing my mom.
Right. And of course, our kids have the front row seat on our own dysfunction, right? So they can see it, and they can hopefully respectfully call it out in us.
Well, and the thing is when you're moving through trauma, I have been moving through trauma. So it just is, right? And so I just keep trying to explain, this is what's happening. This is what I understand. This is how I'm trying to fix it. But you got to be patient with me because blah, 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 blah. And, they're telling me, okay, don't say that, Mom, because then you're going to get that. So, I mean, that's how we learn it, right? Is to teach it.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, the people, our loved ones, our family, the people close to us, they can see it, and hopefully they're on our side. And so they're gently and compassionately and respectfully, saying, can I give you some feedback right now? Can I let you know that,
Yes.
every time that you, whatever, watch CNN, for example.
But I can see that pattern, like that addiction to that. Like, I think I've lived in fight or flight my whole life and didn't even know it, but there's this addiction to, like, when you understand all that and you watch and you start breaking down the patterns of yourself. It's
amazing. It's amazing the change that can happen. But first step, right, is kind of knowing that there actually is some complex things going on inside, and starting to notice them or have others, that support us to sort of point them out gently, and then becoming sort of just kind of more deeply aware of what's happening inside and kind of what triggers it, and then finding a new pattern of response. And this is, again, I'm kind of channeling Wayne Dyer, I'm channeling Dr. Joe, and I'm channeling a bunch of other
But that's the process, right? There's a formula. That's the formula, though, right? That you're saying. And it's a process. And it's like we have to work at that, because that's negative and whatever behaviors, they have been running for a long time for myself. And so
and just not life-giving, right? That's the bottom line, right? All of us are, different from each other and quirky and curious, and that's fine. That's great. That's what makes life enjoyable.
yeah.
But if we've got something going on in us that is, that is sabotaging us, or creating friction in relationships, or preventing us from, being our best self, then that's a dandelion in the grass that has to get dug out and pulled out. So we're not doing that stuff anymore for our benefit.
But how okay, but the hardest thing is that you can't see that it's you. We can't see ourselves. It's you have a part in it. You need to be accountable to release it. But it's like, but that little victim, that little child, right? The little crybaby, wow, right? Yeah, but it takes a long time to be able to own that.
So let's go down the rabbit hole, shall we?
Oh shit, I've been in there for a long time, but now that I've popped back out, just don't leave me in there.
that faint ray of life, when you look up that faint ray of life, that's the exit and the entrance to the rabbit hole. But let me explain something, and maybe it'll be something really, really familiar. Maybe it'll be different language for the same thing. You're catching me, Jacquie. You're catching me this week. I might have mentioned it in our sort of email exchange. Right now, I'm in the middle of a writing retreat. So I rented an Airbnb, and I'm sort of locked myself away in actually a really, really beautiful place.
I'm really jealous.
Trust me, it's really, really beautiful. and the goal for this 2 weeks, I'm right in the middle of it, is to finish a book that I've been working on and
Which
get
is
it.
What?
The book is going to be called The Trauma Recovery Companion, the definitive guide to get your life back from trauma.
So if it's does that, I kind of just picked up that it's not just knowledge, but it's the how to implement it. Because for a long time, I had all the knowledge, but I wasn't able to, I didn't know how to totally live it, because.
Totally. Yeah, totally. So what this book is it's kind of three things together. It is some knowledge, because definitely people have to get enough information to understand that they're not actually going crazy. Their mind and body are doing a very natural and normal, healthy survival reaction.
This is the most important thing, that you need to say that like really big and loud and write it out in big things, because when you are going through that, you start to question. I did. And it was like, okay, now I'm confused, because now I'm in the forest and I can't see, like, because now it's like, is it me? Is it right?
Yeah, totally. So
that's important.
So that's what I'm wanting to do, is a little bit of education. You're not going crazy. This is your mind and body, your nervous system doing something that is trying to keep you surviving in the face of what your body thinks is mortal danger. So it's a little bit of education. Every chapter has kind of a timeout to make it practical. So every chapter has a practical exercise to take the knowledge and make it personal, make it practical.
I love it.
And And the book is written, the book is really written to be a companion, sort of alongside professional help of some sort.
And
So,
can I know I interject way too much, but I just have to say that just because I'm experiencing this, and if anybody is hearing this and saying, okay, well, I felt very alone when you're down in this rabbit hole, because you're not sure what's what. You're trying to make right? You're trying, because everybody's perceiving everything differently. And when you hear somebody else's perspective, you're like, what world are you in? That didn't happen. I didn't say that. They think it's just, it is, you need a companion. You need somewhere to go, okay, am I crazy? Okay, no, I'm good.
yeah. And that's what I'm wanting to do with this book. That's why the title is Companion, the Trauma Recovery Companion, because I'm writing it, really, I'm writing it with a sort of the tone that is, like as if I'm writing to you. Say, for example, I'm talking to you, Jacquie. Maybe you're working on some trauma with a therapist, and you and I are like sitting down on the outdoor patio at Boston Pizza, and we're having a beer, and we're talking like two normal people. So I'm not talking like a psychotherapist. I'm talking like a normal guy. So that's sort of the tone of the book. So it really feels like I'm a guy alongside you while you're trying to get your life back from some trauma experience, whether it's recent past or whether it was back when you were a child. So written very, very sort of like a friend.
I think you have to do that, right? Because you're already feeling and judging and shaming yourself because you think you're not whole, because you think that whatever you're thinking, then they're thinking, and there's all this misinformation going around, and it's not even true. So
totally.
It's such a mind. Anyways, I feel very grateful for the epiphanies and the clarities that come. And then you see, we're all judging each other because we're thinking that they're saying and feeling something that they're not. It's just so bizarre.
Right. Yeah. We're all going around in life, mind reading other people's minds, figuring that we know for sure what other people are thinking about us, and assuming that those other people are actually thinking about us. And eventually, hopefully, we get to a certain point in life when we realize, actually, you know what? Everybody is so self-absorbed. They're not actually thinking about anybody else.
I tell my kids that all the time, right? And then all of a sudden I'm back in this childhood, but I guess that's what it is, right? Just some stuff to kind of clean up there, right?
That's what it is. That's what it is. So I'm going to take you down a little bit further down the rabbit hole just for.
Can I ask you one question though? Will you explain a psychotherapist, just because, the beginning where it kind of sounds like nobody wants to say that they're going there because there's just not enough. Do you know what I mean? There's just such judgment or people just don't know, ignorance around it.
People just don't know. Yeah, totally. So like our friend Dr. Joe Dispenza says, science is how does he put it? Science is the mysticism of the current age, or science is the religion of the current age, kind of.
Yeah.
Basically, that's the way that people are sort of understanding the world and interacting with the world. They want to think about what's happening in terms of science. And so I could.
And you're not crazy. Well, you still are,
right.
but then at least there's a little bit of validity for someone to go, okay, really? Okay. They might actually listen to you if there's some.
Like I could say, hey, you know what? I'm a spirit. I'm like a priest, and I'm a spiritual director, and I'm going to sort of help you open up your access to God. I could say that, and I would turn off 80% of the population.
Right? Yeah, that'd be be gone, because to me, all I ever saw when I was younger was walking into a couple of churches, and it was scary in there, right? You had to be really super quiet, and there was a do, like, and you don't know
Right.
what's going on. You don't have any, I didn't have any.
Right. So that language doesn't work in this age. So what I do is I'm using this label psychotherapist, which is a little bit sciencey sounding.
Okay.
At the end of the day, what I do, and this is sort of my kind of the mission statement that I operate out of, is I help people to look inside themselves and to clear out the obstacles that prevent them from living their best life or living their abundant life. Basically, I know I've got a really deep conviction that people have way more potential than they know that they have. And that potential is blocked by stuff inside themselves. And so what we do in psychotherapy or in counseling is we get those things out of the way.
I love this stuff. I love this work. I can't get enough of it. It's so interesting, and it never ends. Like, it's just, and it's about how we function in this universe. And people still don't believe that there's anything else even going on out there still.
So here's a quick story just to sort of illustrate.
Please.
So you and I did this business accelerator program last month.
Really well at it, actually.
We did. Plural. And yeah, so I had an epiphany during that course, the epiphany was, oh, this is weird. I have something really valuable to offer a broad audience. Now, as you, Jacquie, sort of witnessing my progress in that course, you're going like you were the last person to realize that. But here's the point. That I grew up in a family of 5 kids, and I was the youngest of 5 kids.
Ooh, me too.
So I had 3 older brothers and an older sister, and I was number 5 in the pecking order. That's what I called it. And so I felt like I was constantly comparing myself with my siblings that were 2 or 4 or 6 or 8 years older than me. And of course, I felt like I just never really measured up to them. I was just always, bronze medal in, whatever the event was. So that's a great example of there's an internal belief that got created from my childhood. I mean, a basically fine family, basically fine childhood, but a really everyday thing that I was experiencing that taught my nervous system that I'm just not really up to the grade. And I carried that, for decades. And more recently, I've been kind of doing some internal work myself and realizing, wait a minute. First of all, there's no competition at all. And second of all, I'm actually really great. And it's just not valid to compare myself with my siblings because they're just different. They're not better, they're not worse, they're just different. It's different. So that's an example of, wow, I was carrying an obstacle that was preventing me from being all that I could be, preventing me from being sort of my abundant self. And wow, that needs to get out of the way.
So simple. I just had that epiphany myself this week.
Well, there you go.
You're just a little ahead of me there. It is, but how, again, right? You have to have this knowledge and then to have somebody like you and, these now leaders that are stepping forward to say, this is the formula. This is what you got to do. We're all connected, like it or not. We're mirroring each other, right? Like, I know I'm listening to you going, okay, he speaks my language. Like, I love this work. It's so important and we don't know it. We don't know it. Like, the shadow, right? So it's kind of what I was just understanding after all of these years, my whole life loving this stuff. The shadow is when you're younger and people, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong here, because I'm just throwing this out there because I just heard it the other day.
Put it out there. Put it out there.
That when your parents and I was teased a lot because I was the youngest and I was a crybaby because I was frightened of my dad. So I was like this all the time, like what you're saying.
Uh-huh.
But I didn't know that until kind of looking back at it now. Like I know that it wasn't a normal childhood. They were workaholics and gone. And I was the youngest of 5 kids.
Right.
Right.
How's that going to go?
Around.
Totally. Yeah.
So then I thought that I wasn't whole because they were, she's crying again, or whatever they would say, but, or you're adopted or whatever it was, right?
Right.
As a child, you don't know that's.
Yeah. We absorb those things. Here's the crazy thing, but crazy helpful, I promise.
Crazy helpful. Okay.
Crazy helpful. So what happens is, the way we're talking about it is those things they land on us as beliefs, like I'm not good enough, or I'm a crybaby, or whatever. And what is more useful and more sort of give us more leverage to change is the belief is actually connected to an emotion, which is connected to a body nervous system response. So what you were just doing, we're on Zoom, so I can see you, but listeners aren't to be able to see you. But you were actually doing a little bit of scrunching with your body, right?
Oh yeah.
So that's from my perspective, that's actually the key information is the body response of scrunching.
Well, and when I go to check in, I'm not even breathing. I'm usually holding my breath as well.
So it's scrunching and bracing it's like you're bracing, like your body is bracing for impact.
Yeah. And nothing's happening, but I think that something's happening.
Yeah. So what the kind of therapy that I'm starting to do now, it does definitely, it works with the belief, like, the negative belief that my siblings told me. But it actually bypasses that and works directly with the body to understand that scrunching and that bracing and that stopping breathing is actually what they call an unfinished trauma reaction. It's like a trauma response that
absolutely. That's exactly what it feels like.
Yeah. So quick story. When I was a kid, we had a cat, and this cat was what I call an indoor-outdoor cat. Okay, so it was inside lots of the time, but it went outside, and since it was a Siamese cat, it went out hunting, and it would bag like a bird or a mouse, and then the cat would bring back the mouse in its mouth, and the mouse appeared to be dead, and then the cat would drop the mouse on the front steps and then look around. The cat would sort of look around and like, aren't you proud of me? Look what I caught. And then the mouse that appeared to be dead suddenly kind of twitched and reanimated itself and ran off. Ooh. The mouse wasn't dead. The mouse was in a trauma response. Not consciously acting dead, but it was kind of in this hibernative state as if it was dead.
I had an experience when I was like 13, 14, and I actually experienced exactly that.
Okay, so let me finish because this is going to.
This is the story. I interrupt all the time. I'm just trying not to.
The mouse goes into this what's called a collapse or shutdown state to survive the catching it. The cat drops the mouse, and the mouse finishes the trauma response by coming out of this shutdown state and getting energy back in its body and then running away to survive. The problem with you and me and human beings that are different from the mouse is that we have this annoying frontal cortex that actually interrupts that full sequence. So instead of coming out of that sort of collapse shutdown state or coming out of that freeze state very naturally, slowly re-energizing our body, the trauma response gets stuck halfway through. So our body, our nervous system is left with all of that stored energy. And it can be stored for decades. And so next time something remotely similar to the original trauma happens in our life, our body goes right back to reenact the original trauma response. If it's a fight or a flight or a freeze or a shutdown, it does exactly the same thing. And it just constantly repeats because it never has had a chance to finish. And so therapy, what therapy does is it takes the body and gives the body a chance to finish what never got finished once and for all. So it never has to repeat the unfinished symphony of the body. Did that make any sense?
That's huge. That's such great. That was so well said. Because I explained that we clinch on to something because we're scared, and then the energy doesn't pass through. But I didn't understand the whole process. I love it. That's great information.
Yeah. So what we do in therapy is we give the body a chance to do what the body wanted to do back there. So for example, just to make it concrete, I want to get less theoretical and more practical. Say a person was bullied and beaten up on the playground as a kid. Pretty common experience for lots of people. And that kid on the playground would want to do a fight. A kid would want to fight back, right? That's what their body would want to do. However, the thinking brain of the kid is going to know, well, if I fight back, that's only going to make it worse. So I can't fight back, I'll just freeze and just take it and hopefully walk away to live another day. So fast forward to therapy, that want to fight is stored in the body. And what we would do in therapy is kind of just use the mind to observe the body. So no thinking, just observing. Notice what the body feels when they think about that thing that happened back there, and just start to notice the impulses, the sensations that are happening in the body. And very, very commonly, as the person is remembering, that big kid in grade 7, they were, and the person telling the story started to clench their fists and clench their teeth and getting all tense in the body. And so what we do is we look at, okay, what does your body want to do right now? Oh, I want to just push. I just want to push away. I want to fight. And so, okay, so just take a pillow or maybe go up to the wall and just very slowly and very mindfully let your arms do what they want to do. So we're not punching any holes in the drywall here in therapy, because that would get expensive. We're just very mindfully and observantly letting the musculature in the body do what it didn't get to do decades ago. And what's amazing is that when we let the muscles do what they want to do without the interference of the mind, it clears right out. And what the person experiences is incredible relief, because all of that nervous system tension is released once and for all.
Question.
Sure.
So usually this pattern, I have learned, is playing out that same kind of energy, but in different situations, trying to make me think that it's not that, it's them. It's not my pattern.
Right. Yep.
So when you get in touch with that, so there's like fear, right? So if I've got like fear of the little girl, right? And then then I go to warrior because I'm fighting, I'm scared for my life or whatever, right? Is kind of what I figured out is why I would go to extreme defense, right? Like, because I think that that's like an animal thing, right? So all of those traumas that I experienced for whatever I kept attracting throughout my lifetime here and there, when you heal that one energy, when you hit that energy feeling and you see that, does it kind of wipe out all of those, or do you kind of have to go through the different traumas that you went through that you had that same feeling?
Yeah, it's not actually necessary to go through, like, to remember every single event and work through every single event, because two things. It's the response that's stored in the body is just one response, right? It's just, yeah, I fight when I face what my nervous system perceives to be mortal danger. That's just one response in the body. The other really cool thing, and this is, I'm going to blow your mind a second time here. The response is in the body today. And when you stop to think, okay, so what, like when you boil it down, what are we doing? Like, what are we supposed to be doing? What we're supposed to be doing is we're supposed to be helping the person live their best life today. And in the case of trauma therapy, what that means is clearing the trauma reaction out. Like the trauma reaction that's happening this week, like that's the problem, actually. This is the thing, this is the weird thing. What happened 20 or 30 or 40 years ago isn't the problem. What my body is doing now is the problem.
Right, but that's what we don't know that is happening. Like, it takes a while to actually see that your body is just like all of a sudden I'm just doing something and I'm like, whoa, what's happening? Because you feel that energy, and then all of a sudden it's like we're programmed. Like, I mean, we're programmed, but we don't know we are.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And so once we become aware that, oh, that program is operating again, what we have to do is we're modifying that program. My point is, the program is happening in 2021, and we don't actually need to concern ourselves with what happened in 1975 or whenever. So one of the really cool shifts, and I just love to get this message out to everybody and anybody that is listening, is it's not actually really critical to remember what happened back there. We don't have to tell the story about what happened back there. All we have to concern ourselves with is what's happening in the body now, and heal and modify what's happening in the body right now.
Okay, so expand on that, because that's really important. I so get that, but it sounds really simple, but it's like, that's big.
Yeah. So first of all, I'm going to tell a story about one of my heroes is an author by the name of Babette Rothschild.
How do you say it again?
Her first name is Babette, which is a really cool name, Babette. Rothschild, R-O-T-H.
I've heard her name, but I've not read anything.
LD, yeah.
Yep.
So she's written a book called The Body Remembers. So it's a book on trauma. And then she wrote another book that was first part of the book is actually sort of written to people, like helping professionals that are helping people with their trauma. And her first point in the first chapter is, hey, trauma therapist person, don't forget that you're trying to help people to live better lives. So why would you re-traumatize them by saying, okay, tell me in great detail about that horrible thing that happened to you when you were 10 years old, right? If we invite them to tell their story in all of their gory detail in our office, they're going to re-traumatize themselves. That's not good. That's a bad thing. We don't want that. So
how many times do we do that?
I know. I'm repenting. I'm not doing that ever again.
Me neither.
So that's her first point. And so she says, okay, so what we have to do is we have to, like, very politely and respectfully ask people to stop telling the story as the first thing that they do when they come to therapy. And instead, what we have to do is we have to actually resource them and strengthen them and give them stabilization tools so that they can live their life better now, so that we can do the trauma work without re-traumatizing them. Huge, 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 huge.
Question.
Yes. And then back to that, my earlier point, which you were asking me to elaborate on. This, it's kind of a mind-blowing idea. But the mind-blowing idea is that the event in the past, like the trauma event, that's something that happened, and it created this dysfunction in the nervous system. And the dysfunction in the nervous system that the person is carrying with them today, 2021, that's the thing that we have to treat, is the dysfunction in the nervous system that is present in the body in 2021.
And how does somebody know if they have something that they need to try and look at?
Well, the really practical answer to the question is if there's something, if they're noticing in themselves reactions to life, to circumstances that appear to be unhelpful, not life-giving, not appropriate for the situation.
Yeah.
Right. If I get an email from my boss about, make sure that you fill out your blah, blah, blah form, a totally appropriate request from my boss. And I start fuming and angry and start, fantasizing about homicidal thoughts about my boss, because I feel they're so controlling and taking all of my freedom and autonomy away. And man, that boss, they makes me so mad. Whoa, dude, that's like out of proportion for the situation. Like that level of emotional response, that's too much for the situation. It's out of proportion. That's a flag. Hey, maybe that emotional reaction that I'm having is more, or is not about me and my boss, but is about something from my past that is being reactivated.
Right. So then what I would do, or what I did, is go to beating myself up, but was shaming myself, because it's like, well, how did I get back here again? Like, I thought I've done this work, I get this, and now all of a sudden I'm back, and then that's the other pattern and then all of a sudden, whatever we're thinking, then people are then, I guess we're our frequency, we're transmitting, broadcasting that we're not enough. And then people are talking to us like we're not enough because they think whatever, right? It's like,
yeah. So let me sort of connect some dots here, just for fun here. So in my simple example, the way I would think about it and describe it is that when I'm at work, I'm operating out of my normal adult self, presumably a functional adult. And then when I get that email and I have that emotional response to the email from the boss, I'm actually switching states to a part of me that feels like a child, and it specifically feels controlled. So I've shifted from being a 50-something adult to being an 8-year-old kid, feeling within myself. And then to take it a step further, if I start to shame and criticize my childish reaction, then I've actually got in touch with another part of myself, which I would sort of describe as a bullying older sibling part of myself that just got activated in response to the child part of myself. So now there's 3 different parts of me that have a hostile relationship amongst themselves.
Okay, that makes sense why I'm down at the bottom of the rabbit hole. Along. Get back up, back up.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are down the rabbit hole.
Oh, yeah, back up now, back up.
Yeah. So again, what
Not
trauma?
telling that story anymore. Sorry, I'm not going to interrupt anymore.
So part of what trauma treatment does is recognize, okay, yeah, all of us have those different parts. You know, they might be named differently, they might be interacting differently, but we all have these parts, and that, you know, that's not a bad thing necessarily. But if the parts are hostile or in conflict with each other, like for example, a shaming older sibling feeling part of me criticizing a younger part of me and calling a younger part of me a crybaby, well, that's a hostile relationship. And so part of trauma treatment is going to be creating a more compassionate relationship amongst the various parts of me.
Yeah, it's not about beating ourselves up more about it, is it? It's about
No.
nurturing ourselves and being gentle with ourselves, saying, oh, there's some old hurt in here. Thanks for showing up so I can release it, because otherwise I wouldn't have known, right? But
Exactly. Exactly.
Like, oh, where's this again?
Exactly. Yeah. And so to work with this example a little bit more, if that older sibling part can be compassionate towards the younger part can maybe express itself and maybe reach out in a more appropriate way to get the care that it has been looking for. Because, you know, just like a real child, if a real child is upset, all that child is looking for is attention. All that child is looking for is attention. And if the child gets attention, you know, the child comes to the parent with a really beautiful picture that they've drawn and the parent is ignoring the child, well, the child is going to get more and more upset. But if the parent sort of puts down whatever they're doing and turns towards the child, maybe gets down on one knee and says, hey, what a beautiful picture. What's this a picture of? And what's this over there in the picture? Guess what? The child is like settles down in about 30 seconds and is no longer upset and is no longer crying and is happy.
Oh my goodness, I love you. This is such great information. I just so went through this last week, and I just thank God I have the epiphany of what I was doing, because this is really, really amazing information. Like, everybody needs to get this manual book. I swear to God, this is the easiest simplicity of thousands of hours of understanding, right? Like, oh my goodness, this is so great. I love this conversation.
Yeah. Oh, me too. And that's the truth, right? I mean, I've been doing therapy for like 25 years now, and including, you know, therapy for myself, and tons of reading, tons of extra training along the way, because you know, that's my addiction, is extra training in trauma treatment.
Yeah, me too.
And
yeah,
I really got a burden to, you know, take the stuff that I've got and kind of package it up so that it's easy to understand. I think it was Einstein that said that if you can explain it to a 5-year-old, then you actually understand it. and that's I've sort of taken that to heart, and so, you know, I want to drop the mumbo jumbo, and I want to communicate the stuff that I've got in a way that, you know what, anybody can get it, because that's just good stewardship.
I think I heard Joe say a few times that that's what he always makes everybody talk and explain what he just said to your neighbor, because if you can explain it, then you understand it, and then if you can rethink about it one more time, then you might hold on to that information. Otherwise, it's gone in a few hours or something. You know?
Exactly. So I had the incredible privilege, that's the only word I can put on it, the incredible privilege of going to Dr. Joe's week-long retreat back in April in Orlando. Yeah, and you know what? I mean, that's what we were doing all week long, is he would explain this really complicated concept, but he's amazing. So he's explaining it in a way that I can understand. And then he says,
I love him. I did the same. Oh, we did the Vancouver week long advanced, and then I did
"Oh,
it.
nice. Yeah, so turn to your neighbor and
Once you feel that, then you want to just, there's no other choice. You just, because we have this amazing essence inside that we're all not even tapping into because we're so busy in our heads in the past. And,
yeah.
and you're like giving the simple manual. Here's the manual of freaking all of this science and research, and this is awesome.
Beautiful. I'm so glad. Yeah, and I'm loving the conversation. I'm loving the conversation, and I so love people like Dr. Joe and Wayne Dyer, because they're really my spirit animal, or my what's the term? Alter ego. Yeah, alter ego, because I think they have the gift of taking, all that they've learned, and my expression is they put the cookies on the lower shelf where anybody can reach them.
I grew up on Wayne Dyer, and it's like food. It took me a long time to kind of understand what the heck he was talking about, but you'll read a paragraph, and I would sit with that paragraph for like hours, because the depth of what he was saying, and for me to actually feel and understand, it's just, once you get a taste of that, it's so addictive, because it's who we are supposed to be being, and we need to wake up to it, right? Wake up out of the program. And once you get that, it's you can't stop it. It's such a,
yeah, it really is. It's a process of waking up, and it's a process of kind of daring to believe that we really are as awesome as as we dare to believe, and just reject the old programming, that we picked up from wherever, and believe the new programming that we have enormous potential inside, and we can grab from the tree of possibilities out there, and do amazing things.
and I think the other really great thing that I learned from Dr. Joe was how he explains the energy centers, and how when you get into the heart center, and then you get that heart brain coherence, that's when you get those instant stage 4 cancer gone, blind people seeing. And I watched it in our course. I watched people getting out of wheelchairs, people having a stroke for 4 months, getting up and walking across the beam, and and it's just being not in the head. It's finding that space long enough that your body can start to process.
Yeah, that's it, right? It's getting out of the head, and that's a real challenge for lots of people, and myself included.
For years for me practice.
Yeah, for the longest time, I prided myself on being, a thinker, and that's the best part of me, is my brain, and I still think it's pretty good, but but along the way, I've realized, that your thinking only takes you so far, and if you're going to really change, something has to change in the emotions, and in the body, and in the nervous system, and in the heart, and that's where Dr. Joe comes in. That's where heart math, like heart brain coherence, comes in, and all the gurus throughout history, they've all been saying the same thing: is you have to get out of your head.
Well, and the other guy that I found on my healing journey, Greg Braden and Bruce Lipton, right? The three amigos. I was supposed to see the three of them, Joe Dispenza, in Maui in June. They canceled it. It was like, wow. Chicago got Joe's the advanced follow-up. That got canceled. I'm just so ready to go, because it's just such a anyways, everybody has to go experience it, but it's scary, because you are thinking that we're not whole. We're thinking we're broken, and we don't know what we're walking into. Like right now, I feel like that, right? So I'm moving through this stuff, and then like, where am I? Right? So you just have to stay with how you want to feel, right? Like you want it.
Yeah. What's the future self that you want to be out of all of the possible future selves?
Had you thought about that much?
I am now. Yeah, I am now.
Had you before though?
Um, only only very, very briefly and occasionally I would sort of ponder it, but then and then let it go and sort of get on with programming as usual. But more recently, I've sort of committed to it. I've created a mind movie of how my life is going to be in the future, and I regularly watch my mind movie and again marry clear intention with
Share what a mind movie is. I have one too, and it's actually I forgot about mine. And you know what, because it's hard to. I've never really thought about where. I mean, you think about some material things and going around the world, but right to spend some time in our future instead of in our past. That share what a mind movie is.
Oh yeah, a mind movie is a it's a video that you create for yourself. Mine is about 3.5 minutes long, and it is so it's multimedia. I have taken a song from the 80s. You might appreciate this, Jackie. Do you remember Joe Jackson? So
oh yeah.
Yeah. So a song called Stepping Out, which is a very, very beautiful up-tempo piece of music. So that's the soundtrack. Love it. And then it's a slideshow. So the visual is a slideshow of various images of the future that I am intending. And that is combined with captions throughout the video, the images that capture, basically capture the abundance, or sort of put words on the abundance that is in the images. So my mind movie has components of my successful business, speaking and writing and continuing therapy and successful webinars. It has images of a beautiful, loving, romantic relationship that continues to be healthy and rich and emotionally vibrant.
Which I read that you have. So good on you. That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
Love, right?
Absolutely. And it includes images of location. So part of what we're intending is to spend some parts of the year in Florida, some parts of the year in Italy, and traveling for work and pleasure along the way. So that's the 3.5 minute mind movie to the sound.
Yeah, so that mind movie, so you've got your music going, you've got your great song. Right now you've got your images of what you want to go experience with your affirmations that kind of just give you that, like, I am confident, or I am wherever you're. So you got that, and you listen to that 3 minutes, and how I can't tell you how fast I manifested mine. It's silliness. Just like that, because you're into it, you're seeing it, you're feeling it, and all of a sudden the universe, boom. So
totally, because it is again, it's marrying a clear intention, so the thought, with a elevated emotion, which is the emotion. And if we have an elevated emotions, gratitude, appreciation, joy, love, awe, and wonder, that is the missing ingredient that actually creates that manifests the intention.
Wonder. or
and wonder.
I liked the word wonder. Sorry, I haven't heard that word for a long time. It really kind of grabbed me there.
And wonder. So just remember or just imagine um, uh, like a 3 or 4-year-old child that is exposed to something that they've never seen before, like a rainbow or a kitten. So that 3 or 4-year-old child is gonna go, "Ah, that's amazing." I mean, they won't have the words for it necessarily, but they're gonna just, like, their jaw will drop and their mind will be blown, right? That's awe and wonder. And we kind of forget awe and wonder as we become adults, or we can forget. And so just sort of lose touch with that. So that's why I particularly like that emotion, awe and wonder.
Yeah, I think that the big point here, like, I think that why this work is so important is because none of us are, unless you understand this and you've, done the work to get this garbage cleared for generations back and generations forward, apparently, because this is all, it just gets passed down, and we believe that everything that we're doing is correct. Well, it isn't right or
Right.
wrong. It just is, right? We're
Right.
putting whatever to it, like that. Anyways, it's just so important, this stuff, right? It just, because we're just in the past. Like, we're running, trying to be everything to everybody and fit in the box. Nobody fits in the box, but everybody's trying to fit in the box. If you don't look like you fit in the box, then you get judged. It's like, we're just so busy there.
Yeah, trying to fit ourselves into other people's boxes that we
imagine
that they have for us.
That's why Brian Rose from London Real, he is phenomenal at, if you want to be a podcaster or you don't know what you want to do, you got to take a course from him, because literally you have you don't have time to go there. Like, you're like, I'm doing what? Whoa. Okay, going. Like,
right. Don't even have time to have second thoughts. It's just bang, go. Yeah. Such a great experience.
Did you take any of his other courses other than Business Accelerator?
Yeah, you know what? Right now, I'm right in the middle of the decentralized finance.
I was going to take that, but I've got too much. I got too much going on. Is it wonderful?
It's the same experience of drinking from a fire hose.
Is there anything that you can share about what it is about?
I can try.
Because it's a whole new way of money, right? Is what he was saying. I really wanted to do this because I love the whole.
Yeah, I'll sort of introduce it this way, that I've been, over the past year or so, I've listened to David Icke, Robert Kiyosaki, and Andre Antonopoulos, to name a few, that are sort of banging the drum about sort of a coming economic collapse, that national currencies are going to lose value because the federal reserves of all of the countries in the world are they've just gone to the photocopier and they're just printing money that doesn't have anything supporting it. So those guys are saying, hey, it's going to get bad, and so you're going to have to you need to find a place to put your net worth that is protected from inflation. And so Robert Kiyosaki says gold, silver, precious metals, and real estate, and lots of other people are saying decentralized currency, like cryptocurrency, is the place that is basically, it's a different currency that is not subject to the hyperinflation that national currencies are. So that's what inspired me. You know what? I have no idea about cryptocurrency, but everybody's starting to talk about it, and it seems like it's really important. And so I'm jumping in.
Oh, and what a great time to jump in, because everybody thinks that Bitcoin's over, but this is like the 4th time that China has done this sequence, except for apparently they didn't stop the going in and outs of it.
Yeah.
So Brian Rose shared his buddies, Tika Taware and Jeff Brown. And
right.
so I got on that ship when I started my, well, it's just been over a year now. And everybody thinks I'm like, oh, they're like, but we have to learn this, whether we like it or not. This whole digital, and it is scary because I don't know what the hell you're doing, but the only way to learn it is to buy a little bit of Bitcoin, $200 to $400, they say. Don't ever, put anything in, buy $200 to $400. You can't buy a whole Bitcoin, but you can buy a part of Ethereum, the blockchain, which is going to be the biggest one. And it'll be like a super high speed internet. And the only way to learn it is just to kind of just start to follow it and watch those videos. And oh my God, I've learned so much, like other than, our first topics, I'm really, really enjoying. And anyways, it's a must.
Yeah, I think it's a must.
How much you're getting it for a steal.
It's a must. It's new and emerging, and there's still tons of naysayers out there. But I think it's really, really wise to get in, but I think it's also really prudent to get in slow, and don't invest anything that you can't afford to lose, and just educate yourself along the way and learn.
You'll be able to buy from, so on the blockchains, apparently, instead of buying from somebody who's already bought from somebody, so you've paid all these different people already, everybody can just go directly to so nobody's getting all these extra charges of all these, it's to allow people that don't have money to have.
Yeah, it's peer-to-peer.
It's like, to me, I listen to it, and what I've learned about it, what I've experienced, it's new, right? And there's a lot to know, but it's just start learning, just start reading, start watching some videos, because once you start, it's the only way to learn it. Just jump it in.
And just and again, be patient. I'm needing to be patient and compassionate with myself on the learning process, because there is so much to learn, and there's so much I don't know. So I'm and you know what? It's like this quantum field that we're learning. It keeps growing, just so you know, because I've been on it and I read, and I mean, honest to goodness, it's so interesting. And they tell you about what the 1% is. The 1% people are investing in. Like, you get to get in and have information that we never used to be able to have. And that's available to us now. And I've experienced it, and it is real, and it's penny stuff. And it's, like you said, put $200 or $400 in and make thousands of percents on your money. But it is volatile too, right? So you have to kind of know that. You have to have a strong stomach, to persevere through the dips.
But this is the beginning of this, and that's what I'm trying to share with my friends, is that this is happening whether we like it or not. You're going to have to learn it, because our money is worth nothing, the paper money. So get your gold, get your silver, invest in some mining things, because they need it for the 5G, right? So all the rare minerals, you can buy them for penny stocks, right? And you don't have to go in and I'm not a gambler at all, but I have, but they say to you, this is not gambling, this is smart investing. And they're so educated that, and they kind of baby and hold you along while you're doing it, right? So you feel kind of safe.
Which is why the DeFi accelerator is so valuable, because it's not investment advice, it's education, but it's education from somebody that knows something.
But it's not blockchain, right? DeFi it's got anything to do with crypto or
So DeFi is basically, it's the whole ecosystem. So as Robert Kiyosaki says, Bitcoin is one cryptocurrency. So Bitcoin is pissing in the ocean. That's me quoting Robert Kiyosaki. Bitcoin is just one cryptocurrency out of a bunch of cryptocurrencies. But that's not even the extent of the ecosystem, because there's a whole bunch more kinds of investments that are possible besides essentially currency speculation, which is what Bitcoin kind of is. There's a whole lot of other things that I don't understand. And in the next 3 weeks, I'm going to learn, hopefully.
Love it. I love it. We're going to have to talk about this because this is great information. And we're right at the very beginning. So if people just walk through a little bit of fear, open up on their app store, BitBuy or crypto.com, that's how you do it. It's like your little wallet, and you buy $200 of Bitcoin. There's only so much Bitcoin. So that's why they say it'll be more than gold, right? Because once it's gone, which apparently was supposed to be enough to buy till 2027, but they're saying that probably, well, this was before China dumped all theirs, but that it would be gone by the end of this year. So now if you're holding that is very, very valuable commodity, right?
Totally, yeah. It's it's not even like gold, because gold is still being mined. It's more like real estate, land. There's no more land being made.
That's right. And I think it's like the mother coin, right? And then everything else kind of, so that's that, and then blockchain, Ethereum, and then there's a whole bunch other ones that are. Yeah,
then there's other stuff available. Yeah. So it's an exciting world, and like I say, I'm slowly learning.
Well, and it's the first time that us that are not the 1%. It's the first time that we actually get to have a go at this stuff, right? This is ground floor, and I think if you just looked at it that way and just learned, like, think about in 10 years from now, looking back, going, okay, why didn't I just put $200 in?
Right. So here's the really cool thing, and maybe you're already aware of this if you've been listening to Andrei Antonopoulos and others. One way to approach decentralized finance and cryptocurrency is that it's an investment, like investing in gold. That's one way to look at it. But another way to look at it is that this decentralized finance ecosystem is democratizing banking, because there is, according to Brian Rose, there is like 4 billion people in the world that essentially don't have access to investment capital.
Yeah.
So the small Nigerian subsistence farmer that could make a go of his or her farm if they just had the equivalent of $50, they're handcuffed because no bank is going to lend them $50. But decentralized finance, because it's peer-to-peer financing, that person suddenly has access to capital, and they can take out a loan, essentially.
So the rich don't just, so then the great divide of the rich and then everybody else poor, this will help that, like that whole blockchain thing. That's what that does. There's no way to hide hidden fees and all the stuff that we pay. To the nail. It's another 3,000 here in a house, and taxes for this. They say all of that will be gone. We don't have to pay it because there's nowhere for them to hide it.
Right. So that farmer suddenly has access to capital and can actually make a go of that big idea that would be a profitable idea, but no bank lends them money.
Okay, does that not make you happy?
And yeah, seriously, and you and me in North America can actually be part of that life, that growth for that person on the other side of the world. So
everybody can.
There's actually this amazing opportunity for altruism too, through decentralized finance, which I love.
Right? Like, we so need to just step up out of this little plane of nastiness that we're in and get up into something where we're all helping each other instead of fighting each other, right?
Totally.
I think it's coming sooner, hopefully, than later.
I'm hoping. Yeah.
We know it is. Well, you know what? We are going to have to round up some other classmates and do a podcast and share some information, because we got some great friends in there that I think would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And great information. Everybody's doing something different. It's not all to do with, like Sean, he's got stuff where he's going to teach you how to do the household thing. Like, I'm buying that. I need that. My husband and I need that.
Yeah, seriously.
Right?
What a great business idea he's got. It's a fantastic business idea.
It is. And then the setting up the perfect whatever date for your, so that, when the man doesn't have time, he's working, that he can just do this and have phenomenal romantic week. Like, we got some fabulous things going on, right?
Seriously, there's some fantastic business ideas have come out of the business accelerator.
Yeah.
And I'd love, for a group of us to sort of check in and hear sort of
other people to get walking forward, right?
Totally. Yeah.
If I can do it, they can. Right.
Yeah. So let's do that. I'd love to participate in that down the road.
Okay, sounds good. All right, Don, I'm going to probably be bugging you a few times, because I want to, when this book gets out, will you, can we chat and just go over it and get it?
Absolutely, I would love that.
Broad. I mean, if we helped one person, right? Like Joe helped me, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I would love the opportunity. It's like I say, it's going to the editor by the end of this week, and hopefully actually out there published and available by fall. And I want to get it also out and published in Spanish to reach a Spanish demographic.
Good for you. Okay, well, make sure that we do this, because I think that this is really valuable, like very valuable information. And that's why I want to do my podcast, is like, I have all of this information. What if I could just give you, like if you did, just some tools, and that's what you've done, and it's great.
Right on. I'm so glad for this time.
Okay, take care. I know we have so much else to talk about your life, but we'll get on some of those questions on the last time.
We'll get there another time. Time.
Okay. Thanks so much, Don. Great to see you again.
Yeah, you're welcome. Take care.
Okay, and I'm going to post your information on on my website, and make sure that we have all the details on how to get onto your information and your web pages and yada yada. So if you could just send me what you want them to know, I will share it.
Sure thing. I'll do that. All right.
Thanks for joining us today. Take care.
Yeah, my pleasure. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.